Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts. Ever wonder what bridges the gap between your favorite film genres, subgenres, and movements? CinemaScope is here to explore these connections, taking you on a thrilling odyssey through the ever-evolving art of cinema. I'm your host, Andy Nelson, and in each episode, we embark on a deep dive into the forces that sculpt the world of film. From the styles you know and love, like heist films or the French New Wave, to the ones you may not be as familiar with, like Turkish Yeşilçam or Brazilian Nordwesterns, my expert guests and I unravel the complex tapestry of storytelling, style, and innovation that defines the world of film as we unpack the myriad catalysts of change that shape these diverse styles. Whether you're a student of film, a creative professional, or simply a devoted movie enthusiast, CinemaScope is your gateway to a richer, more immersive film experience. Don't just watch movies, understand them, appreciate them, and revel in their artistry with CinemaScope. Subscribe today.
What's up, Supernatural superfans? I'm Chrissy Lenz.
And I'm Nate McWhorter.
And we're the host of
Gang That Drink,
a supernatural drinking game podcast.
It's the podcast where we make up drinking game rules for a favorite episode of our favorite show, Supernatural.
We recap the episode for you and let you know how all the rules played out.
Then we let you know the drinking game rules for the next episode, so you can play along.
Plus, members get every episode early and ad-free,
with some extra bonus content chit-chat at the end of each episode as a member exclusive.
So download Gank That Drink, a supernatural drinking game podcast, wherever the finest podcasts are available.
And or become a member at truestory.fm/gankthatdrank.
And when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things,
you know, the family business.
Keep the Gank That Drink motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on.
Party on, dudes.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, actually, the name of the monster is Doctor Faustus. Doctor Faustus, Part 1. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And folks, I am so excited because today we begin our examination of the character of Faust and the Faust legend. And perhaps more importantly, the character of Mephistopheles, who is not the devil, except when he is, sometimes. In our first adaptation, he is explicitly not the devil, but a devil. But later in the Goethe version, I don't know. I'm getting some pretty heavy devil vibes. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But for now, we're going to be looking at Christopher Marlowe's adaptation, Doctor Faustus, as it is commonly called, the full title being The Tragical History of the Life and Death of Doctor Faustus. You can see why they shortened it. Now, you might be asking, what's so important about Faust?
Yeah, what's so important about Faust?
Thanks, Meowth. Well, folks, I know we just said Mephistopheles isn't the devil.
Except when he is.
Except when he is. But honestly, I can't think of a more influential story than Faust when it comes to the trope of the Faustian bargain. I mean, it's right there in the title.
Yeah.
But no, this story is so foundational to the idea that we would summon the devil and sign away our souls in exchange for some kind of material gain. It is so embedded in the culture that you can have a story with no devils at all and still have a character make a, quote, Faustian bargain with the villain who is now being compared to the devil. I've heard of Ursula and her contract with Ariel in Disney's Little Mermaid, referred to as exactly that. So, in short, even though Mephistopheles is merely a devil,
this time,
this story is responsible for a lot of the devil's, well, details.
Hey, we should do it on the show.
Yeah, right? So I think first, let's talk about the man himself, Christopher Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe, or Kit Marlowe, as he was sometimes called, was an English playwright, poet, and translator of the Elizabethan era, born in 1564, the same year as William Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like Shakespeare, Marlowe was a significant figure in the development of English drama and literature. They were actually contemporaries. As prominent playwrights in London during the same time period, they had a professional awareness of each other. Shakespeare even references Marlowe in some of his plays. Some scholars speculated that they collaborated on a couple of things, even this play, some people are saying, or even that Marlowe wrote some of Shakespeare's stuff.
Now, you're talking conspiracy theory, but even without conspiracy theory...
I have my... Yeah. It's not tinfoil, but because they didn't have tinfoil back then.
Right.
But it is a weird hat, right? Yeah, that is not...
It's one of them funny Elizabethan hats.
Yes, with
and
all the
a
little
pearl,
flaps and stuff.
a single pearl earring, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but even without that, I saw some scholars argue that Marlowe and Shakespeare wrote Henry VI together.
Yes, I have heard of that. Yeah,
right.
And later on, there's even this idea that they may have had a bit of a rivalry, which sounds amazing, but probably wasn't true. In fact, the idea only started springing up after both of them were already dead, and it probably comes more from Shakespeare and Marlowe fans having a rivalry with each other.
Why do they have to choose?
You know what? Yeah, just you can have both, right?
Right.
Maybe not on the same day, but you know.
Yeah, because they take 5 hours to do each play.
Right. Yeah. But I still like to think they both show up at the palace and they give each other a little nod, but it's like very cold and they're like, Will, Kit. All right. But yeah, Marlowe is credited with popularizing blank verse in English drama. And then, the Shakespeare fans would say, which Shakespeare later adopted and perfected.
So Marlowe did blank verse, which is why sometimes you're saying it Marlowe.
Yes, Marlowe, which, it sounds
Marlowe
like a line.
Perfected blank verse.
Yes. I should probably explain blank verse. Yeah, blank verse, folks. I think we said this before, right? When we were doing Paradise Lost. But it's like, ba-da, 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 right?
Right.
But soft what light through yonder window breaks, right? No, that's Shakespeare. That's... You see what just more tweets on that one. Yeah. But yeah, not to be outdone, Marlowe also dies in a way cooler and more mysterious way. Right? Shakespeare died of natural causes. Right. Lots of mystery surrounding Marlowe's death for a long time. One popular theory is that Marlowe was assassinated by agents of the Privy Council to silence his radical religious and political views. There were also whispers that Marlowe was involved in espionage and was killed as part of some spy intrigue. Right? Marlowe. Kit Marlowe.
Yeah, he was maybe an atheist, but certainly a heretic, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time when you could get killed for writing pamphlets around town saying to look into religion and do your own research.
Right. This is before Galileo was simply put under house arrest for talking about the sun being the center of our solar system. Right. Yeah. So it's a little stricter here, right? Another rumor was that Marlowe faked his own death and then went on to secretly write some of the plays attributed to William Shakespeare. Right. Again, not tinfoil, but very much like tinfoil is my
Yeah. Well, some of the evidence for that is that would be really cool.
Yeah. I love how today that is valid evidence.
Yeah, I saw absolutely nothing. I saw like not like, oh, we found a signature at a hotel down the road that looked like Marlowe after he died. Like nothing. Zero. Nothing.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't it be cool if? Yeah. Right. And, of course, people couldn't help but wonder if the bard himself didn't have a hand in the mysterious and sudden death of his longtime rival.
He's like, et tu, Will?
To be or not to be dead. But that's kind of...
Right, that's the B.
Yeah, he's saying this as Marlowe bleeds out. I should probably... The constable is coming. I need to... But I just want you to know, I think you suck, and I'm better. But anyway,
Yeah, the knife made me realize that. You thought I sucked. I get it. Jeez, this guy, these Elizabethan writers.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you. Am I right? Turns to the constable. Yeah. Anyway, but no, we know that he was killed on May 30th, 1953. Lesser, come on.
Whoa, that's like 3 months after Eisenhower was inaugurated. Eisenhower took out Kit Marlowe. It all comes together if you follow the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Do your research. What is it? Or I did my research. Or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, 1593, of course, right? In Deptford, England, he was stabbed in the eye, ouch, at a dining house during a dispute over a bill. Yeah. Or a will. Those are both actually things you can kill somebody over.
Yeah.
Right, like physical, like a Shakespeare was the joke, but
yes, that's how I read it. Yeah, that's how.
But like a last will and testament, like. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was such a famous idea that he had been killed over a fight over a restaurant bill or a bar tab, essentially, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That in London they would call it the reckoning, that he was killed during the reckoning of a bill. Mm-hmm. And then, what was an As You Like It, Shakespeare writes about the Great Reckoning, and some people were like, oh, that's like a topical joke about Marlowe's murder.
Yeah, yeah. But actually, folks, even though we got witnesses and a coroner's report, right, people are still wondering if we actually have the whole story. Mm-hmm. The guy who killed him, Ingram Frizer, 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 he is Miss Frizzle's great grandfather, right?
Or Miss Frizzle is like ancient, so this is Miss Frizzle's great grandson.
Oh. You're just opening up new lore doors in the Magic School Bus universe.
She has always existed.
Yes. But yeah, so this guy, Frizer, claimed self-defense and was pardoned fairly quickly by Queen Elizabeth. And this has led some folks to wonder if something else wasn't going on. Right? Like just the fact that this celebrity was killed in a dispute over a restaurant bill, and Queen Elizabeth is like, oh, all right, well, self-defense.
Right. It's also, hinky because there's the coroner's report was misfiled, and he was buried in an unmarked grave, which is what happened almost all of the time to everybody. That the coroner's report didn't get filled out properly, and they throw you in a ditch and say, good riddance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rings and all, Yeah.
The fact that he wasn't buried in his large mausoleum for all of his fame, here lies Christopher Marlowe,
right,
bane to high school students everywhere. And then underneath that, just etched, like obviously by somebody different because it's not in the same font. It's just like not Shakespeare.
Right. But it is so crazy, right? So in the 1590s, somebody could die, and apparently it's really difficult to find any, and not just us, it's not for lack of trying that we don't have a lot of information about Kit Marlowe. It's like there isn't a lot of information about Kit Marlowe. And then within, 20 years later, like 23, 24 years later, Shakespeare dies, and there is a shocking dearth of information about Shakespeare and where he lived and what his deal was.
Yeah.
And these are the most famous people, some of the most famous people in England, but that's how people just didn't they didn't write things down. They didn't know where their birthdays were, really. They knew where their baptism days were, not when they were born, and just everything was different. Yeah,
the farther back you go into history, the more people are like, should we save this for anybody? And they're just like, nah.
All right, and these are famous people. So there's hundreds of thousands and millions of people in England who will just never even know their name, right? But then these are famous people. These were well-to-do people. These were important people.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? And it gives you this weird skewed view of history where it's like I wish I were alive back in Shakespeare's time. I could be like another bard just singing for my supper. It's like no, you would probably be a peasant covered in shit as would I. And we would die at the ripe old age of 14, and nobody would remember us.
Right.
No. Anyway.
It's a lot like today, except we have Xbox.
Yeah. So that's, because we sold our souls.
Oh, there we go. Good segue,
Yeah,
Lester.
look at me. All right. Anyway, but yeah, okay. So let's talk about this play, right? The tragical history of the life of Doctor Faustus, right? Did I say the whole?
Isn't there a death in there somewhere?
Jesus Christ! The life and death. Yes. Of course.
That's the most important part. Yeah, they save it to the end. It's so important.
Oh, and also spoilers. But yeah, folks, this is one of, if not the most famous of Marlowe's works.
Right.
But it's actually adapted from an older German legend. Folks, this past couple of months has been a roller coaster as far as research goes. You might know that there are several famous adaptations of the Faust legend, including an opera. But I assumed, ass that I am, that the German guy, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, would be the first to adapt the Faust legend. But no, it's Marlowe. But he's still adapting it from an older German legend, which was based, at least partially, on a real person.
Yes, I assume that as well. I read Doctor Faustus in college. I actually read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't? I just was like, you didn't lie and said you did.
I
Like
didn't lie and read.
Paradise
say
Lost.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I actually read it. I really liked it a whole lot. And then I assumed it was like a remake of the German version.
Right,
But it's not. That's not that way at all. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So Goethe does it a little bit later. But again, and this is what I mean when I say roller coaster. I'm like, oh, what? It's the Brit. It's not the German. But then it's actually the Germans because
Right,
it was the legend first, right? Yeah.
Right. This is the Germans.
The Germans, yeah. That's why it is so funny. Right? So,
Right. The Germans are like, this English version is not as funny. Let's put in a woman who kills her baby and then dies at the stake.
yes.
Some levity.
Right. I think that might be a little bit too funny. Let's let's add in that she also kills her mother. just to bring it down a little bit, But yeah, so the Faust legend before Christopher Marlowe's adaptation originated from stories about the historical figure Johann Georg Faust.
Georg.
Georg. It's basically George without the E.
Okay.
Why? What do you like?
Yeah. I was saying George.
Okay, all right. Oh,
Yeah.
you were saying George. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no E.
Yeah. You're right. It must. Yeah.
It's
you're
Georg.
probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
that's
I've
crazy.
heard it pronounced Georg.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah. By Georg himself. No.
But yeah, Faust is some real guy.
Right?
That's crazy. I didn't know that at all.
So we were, folks, in just, I think it was like our last episode, and we were saying that Mephistopheles was completely fictional. Well, I guess it still counts. He is completely fictional, yeah? But he's not literary. He's mythical because he comes from this legend, right? So I was a little bit wrong on that count.
right,
And then
so
Georg Faust is an actual guy.
So Mephistopheles is fictional, but Lester,
But he's
right behind you.
And he's just tapping his little...
Right. He has on it like Lester promotion in really big letters. And
Right,
he just
yeah,
slowly crumples the paper.
Yep. Null and void. All right, because that's what I would sell my soul for, is just
Right.
some promotional stuff. Right? Yeah. Suddenly, our podcast is doing really, really well. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. I got my soul. Don't worry about my soul.
But okay, yeah, the Faust legend, right? So Johann Georg Faust, right? He was a German alchemist and magician. I wonder if that's just like, he was a real guy who was rumored to be an alchemist / magician, I think is what they're trying to say.
Who liked to learn things at his house, and then people thought he was weird,
Right.
and they called him a magician.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably, like he was just a regular scholar, and people were like, he's so smart, he must have sold his soul, right?
Or he's just so weird.
Or he's just so weird.
He's just a weird guy. He doesn't say hi at the market, and so he is. He's a witch.
Like we were at the restaurant the other night, right? It was the same one.
P.F. Chang's.
Right. It's the same one. It was famous for The Reckoning that hasn't happened yet. and Georg was there, and the waiter said, "Enjoy your meal," and Georg said, "You too." It's like clear sorcerer vibes. Like,
Right.
Yeah. How did he lose the E in his name?
Right.
That was part of the deal. I want your soul and also that E. What are you doing with it? Does it even make a sound in your name?
No.
Give it to me. Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna put it in the chili.
Yeah. Right. Or I might even use it in my own name. You never know, right? Maybe you call me Mephistopheles. Yeah. But yeah, so this legend about Georg Faust was popularized through a German chapbook. I should have looked up what chapbook is.
Hey, Lester, what's a chapbook?
Don't ask me.
Oh, I was leaving that for you. You were leaving it for me.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look.
I'm guessing it's like a cereal or something, like a
chapbook. Short, inexpensive booklet.
Okay, like a pamphlet, like a cereal.
Like lower than paperback, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Sometimes 24 pages at most.
Okay, so it's these little tiny, like, almost like a comic book, except it's not a comic book. Okay, interesting. So now we know what chapbooks are, folks.
All right, there we
and
go.
you can't buy them anymore.
No,
they're gone. They are a relic of history. Yeah, but now we know what they are, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
We know more about chapbooks than how Marlowe died. Okay, yeah. But yeah, these were a series of chapbooks known as the Faustbuchs, right? Which is, Buch is German for book, and Faust is German for Faust. Right? Or it was sometimes also called the Historia von die Johann Fausten. And D as in like the letter D, not like D as in the definite article D. Yeah. In German, right? Yeah. No, that's German for the Faust. The. Yeah. Published in 1587. There we go.
Yeah, so that's right before Marlowe writes his, basically. So so essentially, once the book gets to England, then within 2 years, 3 years, depending, he has written Doctor Faustus.
Yeah. So when we talk about like legends, like these are kind of recent. I was looking at it's like when was Johann Georg Faust alive, and then when did Marlowe write the tragical history of the life and death of Doctor Faustus, and it was like less than a century.
Right.
And so people was like, oh, the legend of Faust is like 50 years ago, man. Like,
That's like the legend of the Sound of Music movie. Stories here tell of a movie from 50 years ago.
Yep.
It was about a nanny who, what'd she do? She teaches them to love music. It's crazy.
Right.
But there's no way to know
Right.
if the movie exists.
And there were, some say there were Nazis in this film.
That seems unlikely. That's like
Very unlikely.
Why would you put Nazis in the musical? It's like a rom-com.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's. Anyway. So, in the early versions of this legend, not Sound of Music. I'm talking about the Faust legend.
Okay, great.
Right? Yeah. So in the early versions of this legend, Faust is portrayed as a scholar, dissatisfied with traditional forms of knowledge. He makes a pact with the devil, or a demon named Mephistopheles in the later versions, to gain unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures. In exchange, Faust agrees to give up his soul after a set period, usually 24 years. During this time, Faust uses his powers mostly for cheap thrills and even cheaper tricks.
Right.
Then, at the end of 24 years, he is either dragged to hell or torn to pieces and then dragged to hell. Just your average German bedtime story.
Sleep, child. I will read to you from Faust.
Yes.
Did you see why 24 years? That seems like a strange increment, doesn't it?
I didn't see anything as to why 24 years.
Right.
And I misunderstood. Maybe it's because they do make this distinction in other versions, but I thought he also gained 24 years of youth back. Because he's supposed to be much older. This is the end of his life, right? This is like the anti-Scrooge, where he's done everything good up until the very end, and then he fucks up royally.
Right.
But
Yeah, but why not 25 years or
Why not 25?
30 years or I couldn't find that. The only thing we do in 24s that I'm aware of is the hours of the day, maybe. And then in our version, to go all the way to the end, it ends at like a midnight.
Okay, yeah, so it's like 24 hours, 24. Yeah,
But it's never called out in any of the texts that I've seen, and it just seems odd, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, to live the last 24 years again. Like, I don't think people say that.
Right, yeah. So it's divisible by 3.
It sure is.
So that's one thing.
Why is that a thing?
I don't know, like 3, three's, the Trinity and all that stuff.
Oh, I see.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
How many blackbirds are in that pie?
4 and 20.
Why is that is 4 and 20, right?
Yeah, that's 24. Yeah.
So what the hell? 4 and 20.
4 and 20.
20
I don't know.
blackbirds.
What is the significance of 24? Let's see. Well, you know what? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what today's most advanced AI can tell me. Let's see. The significance of 24 years in the Faust legend relates to the terms of the bargain Faust makes with the devil. Oh, really? Also, it's not the devil. Mm-hmm. Here are the key points of the 24-year duration. Standard term in early versions of the Faust is 24. Yeah, I know this. 24-year period is symbolic, representing 1 year for each hour of the day.
Okay,
this ties
where?
to
Where do they say that?
I don't know. Well, it has. Okay, this one lists sources.
Okay.
Faust, Mephistopheles, Faust legend, WordPress.com. Mephistopheles. This is from Mephistopheles Faust legend.wordpress.
Oh, okay.
During these 24 years, Faust would have had access to supreme knowledge, magical powers, worldly pleasures provided by the devil or his representative, usually Mephistopheles. This is not telling me anything. 24-year duration gives Faust a defined period. It's saying 24 years is significant because it's nice and long.
But so is 25.
Yeah.
I would counter. Hey, think of the largest number you can.
I can't.
Well, I would pick one more than that.
Yes. Sorry, I knew what you were doing, but then I was like,
you can't give me one single number, Jesus. 24 letters in the English alphabet.
Okay. Keenan.
In the old English alphabet.
I'm putting my tinfoil hat back on again because we didn't tell listeners yet, but there are 2 versions of Marlowe's text. There's an A text and a B text.
Right.
Perhaps there are 22 more versions. And that's what the 24 years is symbolizing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different versions of this. There's an A text, which is shorter, and some people assumed was the first.
This is the one that is believed, like the one that is most believed to be written by Marlowe himself.
Yes, and there's a B that is longer and later, and then the question is,
and it was published like after his death.
Right, and
yes.
Marlowe wasn't writing a play to be published. He was writing a play to be performed. So then even within those, there's different versions of the A text and the B text and all sorts of crazy nonsense like that. So,
and we are going to talk about the differences. This episode is going to end where the first act of the A text ends, but we will still be talking about all the extra scenes from the B text.
Great.
Okay, but no, Keenan, this actually surprised me. I assumed that the name Mephistopheles was made up for the story. Well, I'm realizing what I'm saying right now. I guess it was made up for the story. But what I mean is I assumed, by Marlowe, since he's the first one to bring this from a folktale to a literary piece.
Okay.
And I was half right? It was made up for this story, but not by Marlowe.
Okay.
Right, the earliest versions of the legend, back when it was about the real guy, Georg Faust, has him dealing with the devil, and then it becomes folklore, and that's when the name Mephistopheles starts showing up, and also when he starts being an agent of the devil rather than the devil himself. And there's also all this mystery surrounding the name, right? Since it isn't literary, it's harder to figure out why he's called that.
Right.
and what exactly it's supposed to mean, right? It doesn't sound like any demon name that we know, right? Or angel name, right? There's no L at the end. It sounds Greek. Mephistopheles,
Right.
And we know it's made up. There is no Mephistopheles or Mephisto anywhere else before this legend. This tale is the origin of that name. So people are trying to figure out what it means, right? They're thinking it could possibly be it could possibly mean not loving light, from the Greek meh, meaning, not, and phos, light, and philos, meaning loving.
I love that meh means nah, because meh is one of my favorite words, right?
Right.
And they normally say The Simpsons is what popularized it, so I like it even more.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go. Perfect.
So what do you think about that, kids? Meh.
But in this same way, they're saying, or it could be not loving Faust, right? Because
Meh,
again,
Faust,
meh,
yeah.
Faust, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's one I like. That was really cool.
not loving Faust.
Yeah.
But Keenan, people are saying that when this play is performed, specifically the Marlowe one, there is a relationship, or there isn't, right? Like you can read a relationship, or the actors can choose to have a relationship between the character of Doctor Faustus and this Mephistopheles.
Like a relationship?
Like a relationship. See how English is? You can just say a word 2 times and everybody knows
Right.
what you mean.
Yeah. Like a Wendy's?
Like a Wendy's. Right? I went to a Wendy's, but it wasn't like a Wendy's.
It was like a Wendy's?
Yeah. All right.
Hey, what do you do in your spare time? Well, I've got a podcast. Yeah, but like a podcast, or like
No,
a podcast?
not like one of those. It's just a podcast. Right? Yeah. Did you listen to my podcast? Oh, I listened, but I didn't listen. It was on in the background.
Right. I liked it. I mean, I didn't like it, but I liked it.
Right. I'm not going to have like a relationship with it.
But no, I've never picked up on that.
Okay.
As the podcast, our show's gay host, I guess that's my job. So I'm sorry I let you down with that.
I'm just pulling all the weight over here.
to read homosexual subtext into things, but yeah, that's one of the things he didn't mention about Marlowe in his biography section, right? Is that he might have been gay, but that is hard to measure in Elizabethan standard times because he has more homoeroticism than other playwrights in his work, at the time. But like people back then, and Marlowe wouldn't have identified as gay. That's not something you did. You might know that you did gay stuff. I mean, not just gay stuff, but gay stuff.
Right, gay stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very aware of it.
And
right?
stuff. Yeah.
Right. But you wouldn't necessarily feel obligated to consider that even qualifying you to be considered different from your peers who didn't do gay stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't really know. So we don't have any journal articles about him being, any journal entries of him saying like I'm gay or any of that stuff.
Right. Not even any chapbooks.
Right. He also lived with a roommate, Thomas Kidd, who almost certainly wasn't his lover, because Thomas Kidd is somebody who kind of named Marlowe as a witch, in essence. Like he was like, there's all these pamphlets going around saying like, hey, look into these different ideas about religion. And then they're like, they had all these like clues, like in a modern day serial killer movie where serial killers leave clues. So you could which serial killers don't do in real life,
Right.
Because they don't want to be caught. So there's all these like clues.
Not everybody is Hannibal Lecter, folks.
He didn't leave clues.
He didn't. I know, but that's it's just like the Legend of Faust. We misremember it.
Right, and even Jamie Gumb isn't leaving clues in that, but they're deciphering clues. But anyways,
yeah.
But like so anyways, there were these papers around, like pamphlets, like I guess chapbooks that are being left around, and they're like, look into this, this new kind of heresy. And they had like references to Marlowe's work, so they go to like his plays. So they go to Marlowe's house, and they're like, "Hey, is Marlowe here?" And it's Thomas Kidd, and they torture the hell out of him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and they're like, what's up with these? And they're like, I don't know, it was Marlowe probably. Like, stop torturing me.
Wow.
And then they go and then and they arrest him and let him go, and then a month later he's dead. Yeah.
Right.
But where was it? Oh, anyways, he's not gay with Thomas Kidd though, so
okay.
I don't know why I'm bringing that up. Oh, because we thought he might be gay, because Mephistopheles might be gay, you're saying.
Right, yeah. Mephistopheles and Faust, yeah. We don't know.
Well, he could He could like Faust. He doesn't need to love Faust.
He
can still be meh on him.
That's specifically why his name is Mephistopheles. It's like, I like you, but I'm like, like as my name says, I obviously don't love you.
Right. Like, I like being with you, but I'm not gay, says Mephistopheles.
There we go, folks. We figured it out. See, the origin of the name Mephistopheles, if you translate it further down, right, like through the stratum, right, translates to not gay.
Right.
Yeah.
But still up for shit.
That's why it's a little longer, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Otherwise, it would just be meh. Right.
But anyway, so Mephistopheles does not exist in the Bible.
Right.
And then doesn't exist in like Milton or Dante,
right.
or it's not a existing Canaanite god or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, he is completely intertwined with this legend and only this legend. I mean, I guess, later on people can take him and put him wherever they want, right? But yeah, he was baked into this specific story.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, right. Oh, other people are saying maybe it's a pun on mephitic, right? Referring to poisonous vapors arising from the earth. Right? Yeah, I like our explanation.
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and again, folks, now we have another demon that's more mysterious than Lucifer. Right? We talked about like Asmodeus. We talked about Beelzebub being Satan before Satan, right?
Right.
And now Mephistopheles. There's more about these guys than there is about Lucifer. It's interesting. I feel like we're bullying Lucifer.
He's an old hat.
Yeah, right. Get with the times, man. But no, okay, so the original legend was mostly cautionary. It was emphasizing the dangers of pride, ambition, and the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, and it was often represented in a more comical or vulgar manner in popular entertainment, specifically puppet shows. Man, puppet shows were something else back in the day. Like, imagine if Marlowe just, went to the wrong show that day, and he's like, I've got it. Right? The basis for my next great work, The Tragical History of Mr. Punch. He beats the shit out of everybody. Yeah.
It's tragic, very tragic.
It's a tragic, yeah. And they, it's oh man, people are getting really depressed here in jolly old England, but man, they're loving it in Germany.
Perhaps it'd be funnier if he beats his loved ones.
Yes. And then you could still have the devil. He goes down to hell and he beats the devil to death. That happens in Mr. Punch, guys.
Yes.
I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Marlowe's adaptation, right? The tragical history of Doctor Faustus, the tragical history of the life and death of Doctor Faustus, differs in several key ways, right? Firstly, no puppets. But no, he actually did elevate it from its sort of vulgar place in the world of art and entertainment. He also made Faust himself a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more complex. He's seeking out the dark forces for knowledge. He's curious. He's hungry to know everything there is to know. And he understands that all of the stuff that we think we know about science and space and the nature of man and physics and chemistry is probably wrong. And he was right about that. I'm trying to remember if it was about Marlowe's Faust or Goethe's Faust, this reflection that, he's got all of these books behind him, and half of them have the wrong information already.
How so? How are they wrong?
Okay, it must be in the Goethe version because he's throwing them down. He's like, this is already been proven wrong.
Oh, I see.
So there'll be like pre-Galileo, there'll be a geocentric solar system in one of his books, and he's like, I've learned everything, and I'm smart enough to know that half of my bookshelf contains misinformation.
Right.
Right, and I think that was part of the legend. A little bit later was his understanding that we don't have as much of a grasp of science as we think we do. And whatever he knows right now at the end of his life, right, because he's coming up on 70 or something like that, it's just going to be proven wrong in a couple hundred years. So what is the point of having learned all of this stuff if it's not even the truth?
Right.
And so that's one of his reasons for like, well, I'm going to get answers from somebody like who was there, And so that's why he, goes to summon the devil.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if we get that much of an explanation in Marlowe, but Marlowe is definitely like pushing Faust closer to that type of Faust, the one who wants to know the true nature of the universe rather than just like, I want to, party for 24 years.
Right.
Yeah. And then also, even though Faust is still damned at the end, spoilers, guys, Marlowe thickens the sauce with themes of redemption, free will, the nature of good and evil, none of which was really explored in depth in the puppet shows.
Just wasn't enough time in
No.
the puppet shows.
No. Well, Mephistopheles, what do you think is the point of being alive if we are all capable of doing great evils? Oh, why are you picking up that slapstick, which is where we get the term slapstick? Slapstick. That's what Punch and that was the character. It's the bat that he beats Judy. It's called a slapstick. Anyway.
Because they were designed to make funny noises.
Right.
Hitting.
Yes.
Right.
So when you slapped it on your knee or your loved one, it made a hilarious noise. But yeah. Okay. Folks, let's get into it. I think we have set the stage. We have introduced our boy Marlowe. We got a working understanding of the Faust legend. So let's look at how they go together. Let's see how Marlowe spins that age-old tale of a man selling his soul to a devil. All right. Okay, so the play opens up with a prologue. This is how we did it back in the day, right? Remember, even Milton called upon a muse at the opening of each book of Paradise Lost. But even that wasn't enough for people in Milton's time. They forced him to write those extra prologues at the top of each book, right? It's like, we need more prologues, more Star Wars crawls, right?
Right.
So yeah, so we love our prologues, and they didn't want to go with my idea, which where it's like, the final scene of the play, Faustus is being dragged to hell, and then freeze frame. You're probably wondering how I got into this mess. I'm John Faustus. No.
My life gets kind of crazy.
Now, it's also not a regular prologue, right? The actors come on stage and they tell us that we are about to witness, that what we are about to witness is not a tale of daring do. There is no hero. Instead, this is the tragic tale of a normal guy. Hey, like you. Who went down the wrong path, like figuratively and then also literally, right, like to hell. Right. Okay, so we open in the study of not Johann Georg Faust, but John Faustus. Very nice, very English.
So you're saying they changed his name to, like, get away with it, getting away with calling it, a fictional character instead of.
I don't know.
A real character?
Yeah, I don't know why they like Georg is dead by this point.
He's over in Germany, so
yeah, and he's also in Germany. Yeah,
right.
Right. He's dead and in Germany. Right.
Yeah, that's part I had never seen an answer for that. Why they changed it from this famous story to Faustus instead of just Faust?
Right, and John.
That's true, yes, but why would it benefit to change the title? Like, hey, here's a famous story, and now is this play the same story? I don't know, right? Because you changed the name a little bit, so I don't know.
And I keep on having to like catch myself because I'm like as I'm doing these episodes, I'm like, okay, so Faust is like, no, it's Faustus, it's Faustus,
right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't make a Faustian bargain; he makes a Faustusian.
A Faustusian bargain, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Boy, what that Faustusian do?
Yep. Well, it's Faustusian. It's not Faustusian. But Keenan, they do make it clear that he is German, and this is Germany.
Yes.
Right? Like the chorus tells us that he studied at the University of Wittenberg, and he has now earned the esteemed title of doctor. Specifically, he has a doctorate in theology, which I think culturally... Well, I know culturally is different today, right? In Marlowe's time, theology was actually considered, quote, the queen of the sciences. And a doctor of theology could have positions of influence in both religious and academic circles. And remember, those circles are more like a Venn diagram at this point in history. Right? Yeah. It would also suggest a mastery of philosophy, languages like Latin and Greek and Hebrew as well as classical texts. Right. So he has the best possible title in the best possible field of science at the time. Right. So the play is telling us that he is supposed to be the smartest man in the room. Right. It's setting that up for us. And then it mentions Icarus, who flew too high, got too close to the sun, and was punished for it. And that's also a favorite theme of Marlowe's and of the Renaissance overall, right, is man's lofty ambition, which makes the Faust legend the perfect candidate for a stage play at this time.
I think it's really interesting. Also, you're talking about the queen of the scientists. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
Right.
I've always noticed that, like if you were to go to someone on the street or someone listening to a podcast, and you're like, who is the smartest person in the world, right? You would often, do you have an answer for that, maybe?
No, I have.
Well, who's the smartest person in your lifetime, I guess?
Oh, in my lifetime?
Yeah.
I would say, oh God, now his name has evaporated.
You would say Stephen Hawking.
Yes. How did you know? Yes.
Because that's my whole point, is that that's what people would say is Stephen Hawking. Right?
Okay.
I think that's what we go to is physics nowadays.
Huh. Okay.
So we associate physics with being smarter than everybody else. So Einstein,
right,
and Newton, right? These are people that we consider the smartest people who have ever existed.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's not Watson and Crick who discovered DNA. You know, it's not Jonas Salk. So and then when I asked Ian this question,
Marie Curie. It's not
Marie Curie, right? Exactly. So when I asked our buddy Ian this, he was like, oh, and then let alone Shakespeare or Bach, right?
Right.
But of course, even not including Shakespeare and Bach or Freud or somebody like that, who's doing soft sciences or heaven forbid art.
Right.
Even within the hard sciences, we would say physics is the real science.
Right. Huh.
Yeah. But of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson is smart, and he seems to have, he trains but he trains as a science communicator, so he's pretty well versed in how to talk about all of them. But he couldn't do what Jane Goodall does.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But we don't say that those are equal at all and just different, that they've gone these different paths. We'll say he's smarter than maybe we wouldn't put it in those words, right? That he's smarter than Jane Goodall. But when we think of who's the smartest, it's Stephen Hawking.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that is really interesting. I never even thought that. Yeah, we consider. It is. It's physics.
Right. So that's interesting to hear that back then it would be theology.
Yeah. That is, oh wow, that is such a brain bender. It's taking ourselves out of this, kind of like we've just been conditioned to. It's oh yeah, physics is the the most important thing. Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Right. But of course, music composition is probably just as hard as physics.
Yeah. Right.
Music theory, I mean.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so after we're introduced to the man, we hear him speak. And now I understand why my professor didn't want us reading this in college. Even though we read Marlowe, my professor was dead set on not reading Doctor Faustus. She was like, it's not good, it's overrated. And that was fine for us because we could, quote something from Marlowe that wasn't his most famous work, right? But reading it now, I'm starting to wonder if the reason we didn't read Doctor Faustus in college is that the title character's first line is, "What the hell is the point of my degree?" I don't even know what I'm a doctor of. Right? I am half joking, folks, right? He says, "Settle thy studies, Faustus, and begin to sound the depth of that thou wilt profess." So he has come to the end of all of his books, of his quest for knowledge. He is now a famous doctor of the most comprehensive science known to man, and he is reflecting on the point of it all. And he calls out several disciplines. First, he looks at what logic has taught him, and he concludes it has taught him how to argue. And he's like, is to dispute well logic's chiefest end, right? Is that all logic is good for, is arguing, right? So he then turns to medicine, and he's like, there we go, right? That is a valuable and noble pursuit. But then he reflects how he's already a famous physician who has cured millions and saved entire cities from plague, apparently.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he's just a guy. Right? Any other doctor could have done that. He can't make people live forever or bring them back from the dead, so what's the point? He looks at the study of law next, but he dismisses that as petty and money-grubbing. Lastly, he focuses on religion, but he notes that the Bible says all men sin, and the reward for sin is death. And so now he's back where he started. He's like, well, shit, what's the point of anything? And so he decides, fuck it, I'm going to study magic and become a god on earth. Right? I mean, like, more eloquently than that.
Right.
But I think part of it is he is recognizing that the universe as human beings understand it is too pedestrian for him. He wants to understand it in the way that God understands it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of plague, which becomes the focus of some of the German versions of this, is during plague. Marlowe was putting on plays during plagues in London, and so sometimes they would have to go out in the country. And there's this famous actor who was in Doctor Faustus named Edward Allen, Allyn, I believe. And they were out in the country, and he's like, well, we're just not making enough money. And so apparently they made a concerted effort to go back into London where they could sell tickets, even though it was during plague, because he was like, we have to support the company, the troupe, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so apparently he was writing Dr. Faustus specifically for this guy, Edward Allen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Edgar Allan was in the title role. He was
Dr. Faustus.
Oh,
yeah, he was like really tall. I don't know if that meant 6'1" back then or something.
Right.
But he was like shockingly tall. So yeah, some kind of Superman looking guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we went on to this famous line from Dr. Faustus: "The reward of sin is death." That's hard.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard for me not to read that with some irony or some bitter sort of British, like, you know, that's not fair, sort of like sarcasm there. That no matter what people do, you die, and everyone dies, so you must have all sinned. And
Wait, what other way is there?
Right. I don't know. It's like when you read it in college, I suppose it's like everything is serious. There's no jokes here, right?
Oh.
People don't have human feelings. They just But the reward of sin is death. That's hard.
Folks, I want to make this distinction now that we're talking. I think this is our first play that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell this to my students as well. When you're dealing with a play, I highly recommend watching a production of it. I would say it's way better to watch or listen to a production than to actually sit down and read it. I know that other English teachers might not agree with me, and that's kind of how we do it in college. We sit down and we read Romeo and Juliet. We read the tragical history of the life and death of Doctor Faustus, right? All of that's that's day one is just getting the title. But Shakespeare and Marlowe, they wrote these things, or they made these things to be seen on stage. So if you can, go and see a version of it, or listen to an audio play of it, rather than sit and read it. That would be I don't know. To me, that would be like reading the script of Star Wars or The Godfather or something like that. It's it doesn't. It's made for the screen, or it's made for your eyes and ears.
Yeah, I was listening to this BBC production version that you sent me while I was reading along. That was helpful. Yeah, and I like this. I like this thing. I don't think it's certainly not as difficult as Milton or what things you've read before. No. But yeah, definitely. The reward of sin is death. That's hard. Now
Sorry. The point I was trying to make is so. There is a production done at Shakespeare's Globe, and it's from I'll post a link to it. You have to pay to be a member, and then purchase the play, and you can only play it on their website. But
there's no affiliate link, so we get a fraction of a penny for it or anything if they come.
No.
Yeah. Damn it.
But that production is really, really good, and that Doctor Faustus, he does that. He's like the reward for sin is death. That's hard, and everybody laughs.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say is that there are we're missing moments if we're not actually watching it or listening to it, and especially with an audience, like seeing this show, even a recorded one from the past, but seeing it performed in front of an audience, you're going to get that. You're going to get there's another really, really funny line coming later in Act 2 or Act 1, depending on which version you're looking at, the A text or the B text. But yeah, like when it comes to plays, like see them. Like even I will say that I will recommend that before even reading them. See them or hear them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think this line, the reward of sin is death. That's hard. I think this is the key to the whole damn thing. Because this is a Bible quote, and he is a theology doctor or doctor of theology. And so this is Romans 6:23. For the wages of sin is death.
Yeah.
Comma, but he's like Nietzsche readers and college freshmen. He doesn't continue. So for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord.
Yeah.
So he does not seem to want to acknowledge the second part of that. The whole point is like everybody dies because everybody sins, but don't worry about it because the path forward is through the Christ.
Yeah. So
and he doesn't go there. He goes to selling his soul to the devil instead.
Did he do what I did? He's like he's a doctor in theology, but he didn't read it. He lied. He said he did.
He didn't read Romans. How could you not read Romans? Or he just stopped there halfway through chapter 6, verse 23. So he only got to 23 and a half.
Yep, that's it. Right. And that's why 24 years. There we go. Right. But yeah, so we're still in his study, and right now he calls in his servant Wagner, who we're going to see more of later. He's one of our comic relief characters, and he's depicted as being a very slow and simple compared to Faustus, but he's also the main voice of that chorus in the prologue, introducing us to the story of Faustus, which I like. I don't know if the actor is speaking in the chorus as Wagner or some omniscient narrator, but I like that it's the same actor. Okay, so Faust tells Wagner to go and fetch Valdez and Cornelius, two of his friends. I'm guessing they're also scholars, but it's known around town, or it's rumored, that they are also well-versed in the black arts. Right? So Wagner heads off to go get them, and then the first supernatural thing happens. A good angel and an evil angel appear to Faustus. The good angel's like, set aside your book of magic and read the Bible. And the evil angel, who's smoking a cigarette and wearing a leather jacket,
That's right.
he's like, or don't do that. Right? And it's not the first instance of like, the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder meme, but it certainly helped the idea along. Right? Although, on stage they're life-size, of course, because they're played by actors. I'm just saying, Marlowe, this is a perfect opportunity to utilize those puppets.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, right there, It's like you wrote them for puppets, but you didn't. Anyway. But yeah, so Valdez and Cornelius appear, right? And Faustus says he wants them to teach him magic. And Cornelius says the miracles that magic will perform will make thee vow to study nothing else. And they both kind of like play this up. They make this sell of like how great Faust will be once he learns magic. To which I then wonder, okay, so you guys aren't emperor of the world yet because you don't want to be?
because they already know magic, you mean?
Yeah. But, no, this is, I'm seeing a, like, Faust is a smart guy.
Yes.
He's supposed to be a smart guy, right? But as we go through this, guys, he's talking about like, oh man, as soon as I know magic, I'll be able to fetch pearls from the Orient. I'll be able to drain the sea. Right. I'll be able to pluck the sun from the sky. Like he doesn't, like, these are examples. Like this isn't like word for word what he's saying.
Right.
But I was like, okay, those things don't happen every day. Like if magic really worked, you'd think that we'd be waking up every other week because, some magician just plucked the sun from the sky again. These black arts, right? We got a new emperor of India again, right? So, man, like, you know what? I was going to sail to Sicily, but gosh dang it, Cornelius, he drained the sea again. It's this black magic, I tell you.
So they're not. So what are we saying? They're not really. They're like magicians, like sham people like magicians, or
No, I don't think Marlowe's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, it sounds like they're selling to Faust like you can do like these godlike things with magic. You can be a god on Earth, and then Faustus soliloquizes later like he's going to do all of these godlike things. He's going to be like the emperor of the world with this power. How come there aren't more emperors of the world if magic works?
because you have to sell your soul to the devil, I guess, right, to get the real magic, or
I guess. But yeah, it just seems like he's putting a lot of faith in Cornelius and Valdez, who are like they live in the same city as him. They don't live in palaces, you know.
They don't have a Wagner of their own. They don't have a little guy at the door even.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, they come in wearing robes just as, you know, tattered and dusty as his, you know, but they're like, you will be, you know, like you'll be king of this place. It's like, how come you're not, like, you're giving me the stuff. How come you're not king?
Right.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know. I may take all of that out. It was just a reflection that I had. Like, why is Faustus not questioning that?
Right.
You know. No. But yeah, but he says he wants to learn magic. And Cornelius says, yeah, like once you get it hooked on this stuff, man, you're never going to want to study anything else, right? And Valdez lists a number of texts that Faustus needs to read, and in some of the productions, he actually names them. There's the Unearthed Arcana, Deities and Demigods, the Monster Manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide. I did that in order so that it would take a while to.
No, I only got at the end. Are all of those D&D
Those are
stuff?
all D&D books, yeah.
In the version I have, it says to read Bacon, you know, but it also says to read the New Testament.
Yes.
But come on, he already knows the New Testament, doesn't he?
Or
maybe
he's
he doesn't.
He's a doctor of theology.
Maybe he
See,
doesn't.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
What? Now I'm with Dr. Faustus. What good is your degree?
They didn't even make you read the Bible. They just assumed you would read it.
Yeah.
Didn't even ask you any questions.
Doctor of theology, right? Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, well, if you've read the whole thing, tell me how it ends. And he thinks. He goes, Amen. All right, you win this charm, Faustus.
This guy's read his Bible. But yeah, but no, like Faustus is so excited, right? He invites them to dine with him that night. Right. His mom's making pizza rolls. Right? There's Diet Squirt in the fridge, right? They can stay over if they're quiet, right? No.
Yeah, these guys don't get quiet, I don't think.
No. But Faustus is determined to perform his first act of magic tonight. And that is the first scene of the first act of the tragical history of the life and death of Dr. Faustus. Yeah.
All right.
So now we got scene 2, right? It's actually really short. We're outside following 2 more scholars. And this thing is lousy with scholars. And they're sort of like gossiping about Faustus, talking about like how the walls of their college used to echo with his speeches. And they're wondering what has become of him. And they cross paths with Wagner. And they know Wagner is Faustus's a servant. So they start questioning him. And here, Wagner sort of like stands up to them and proves that he's not as simple as people perceive him to be. There's this little back and forth between them, and Wagner sort of like puts them in their place before dropping this bomb that Faustus is having dinner with Valdez and Cornelius. And these 2 other scholars are like, Valdez and Cornelius? So everybody apparently knows that these guys are sorcerers, right? And so these 2 scholars are like, whoa, we got to tell the rector.
Yeah.
And they run off and leaving Wagner on stage. And he turns, this is only in the B text, he says, Rector?
And the curtain closes slower than any curtain has ever closed before.
Yeah. I do believe the A text is more accepted by academia.
Do you want to finish that joke for people who have no idea what you're saying, or no? I just want to leave it that way.
No, just okay. I am quoting the original text. It didn't finish. Yeah.
So what's the point of this scene, Lester, besides the obvious?
What do you mean besides the obvious?
The obvious is that we need this scene in between the appearance of the two angels and then Mephistopheles so that the technicians can prepare the special effects.
Yeah. That obvious, yeah.
So, why do we have this scene in here?
I think it is to give us an idea that, okay, Faust is telling the truth. He is famous. He is well-known and well-loved within the city, right? Because these two guys are talking about him, right? And so all his talk about like all the great things he's done isn't BS. And also, these guys are known like magic workers.
That Cornelius and Valdez are.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Okay,
and it gives us a little bit of Wagner's personality.
Yes, Wagner is a shockingly large character, it turns out.
Yes. We're not talking about the actor. We're talking about like he plays a bigger role than you would assume.
Yeah. In the first scene, Faust is like, request Valdez and Cornelius to come to me. And Wagner's entire line is, I will, sir.
Yeah. Right.
That's the whole line. And then apparently he's not just a prop with a name,
right?
Character name. He actually is a really big deal. But I don't know if this scene is necessary. I'm sure in some versions they cut this scene.
And it's interesting because, this is the A text, right? Because we talk about like the B text. One of the things with the B text is they added in a lot of comic relief stuff,
right? Mm-hmm.
And you would assume it's like, okay, this is scene 2, like super short scene. Mm-hmm. There's no Faustus, there's no Mephistopheles, there's nothing. It's just Wagner and these two gossipy scholars. And to your point, Keenan, there's not really a whole lot that gets
set in motion.
Gets set in motion here.
There's no consequences for anything that happens in the scene.
Yeah, right. So
maybe we should have told you that before we discussed the scene, and you could have skipped over the past couple minutes. But there we go.
But yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah. Now the next scene brings us to later that night. We're back in Faustus's.
Yeah, this scene I would cut too.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Just cut everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Just get to where he gets dragged down to hell.
There we go. Right.
No. This is the
scene. Yeah.
This is the scene.
Right. I'm like, really? Like,
oh, geez. All right.
But yeah. Okay. So this brings us to later that night. We are back in. Okay. Yeah. So we're back in Faustus's study, right? Valdez and Cornelius are gone, and Faustus is alone. We open with him standing in the midst of a magic circle, which he has drawn on the ground and adorned with, quote, Jehovah's name, forward and backward, anagrammatized. Also the, quote, abbreviated names of holy saints, figures of every adjunct to the heavens, and characters of signs and erring stars by which the spirits are enforced to rise. So, it is important to note that this magic circle and all the ritual that follows is not pure invention on Marlowe's part. Marlowe is drawing from actual occult traditions, though with a few artistic liberties. One of those traditions is the magic circle. It's a common element in ceremonial magic found in grimoires like the Key of Solomon. Hey, magicians would draw a protective circle around themselves, and written around the circle would be various names of God, as well as angels and saints. All right.
He says, I've written Jehovah's name forward and backwards, anagrammatized, right?
Anagrammatized, yeah. Meaning like he mixed the letters around.
Right. But did he write Jehovah or some other name? Or like that's just a weird way of saying it. I wrote Jehovah's name.
This is the artistic license part. I think. Yeah, right. But the writing of God's name or names within the circle is a legitimate thing.
Right. Okay.
It's for protection, but also to give the magician authority over the demon. And that is the part that really interests me. This is a real part of a lot of summoning rituals. Is the reliance on God to see you through, which like makes sense in a book called The Key of Solomon, right? Like we read the Testament of Solomon, right, where the archangel Michael gives him a magic ring to control all the demons with God's permission. Right? And the Key of Solomon, right, in its introduction claims to be a how-to book written by Solomon himself for his son. And of course it's not, right? It's just like the Testament of Solomon. Solomon had nothing to do with it. But people believed that for a long time, and that's what interests me. because if you believe it was written by Solomon, and folks, if you look at the ritual, it's 90% prayers to God for guidance and protection, right? Like there's like several layers of prayer and supplication to God and glorification of God and consecration of the space and the circle and your tools. And then you summon the demon in God's name. You get it to do whatever it is you want it to do in God's name. You dismiss it in God's name. And then there's like several more closing steps where you got to thank God for helping you and allowing you to do the summoning. And like, that's what I want to know. Like, did these 16th century sorcerers, like, you know, like our Cornelius and Valdez in this story, did they think that God had their back? Because like the way Marlowe is doing it in the play, it's like Faustus has written the name of God to profane it. Right? Like this is the stereotypical like dark magician who like gets power from performing blasphemous acts, like you know, to get in good with the devil, right? So here Faustus writes the name of God backwards, you know, and he mixes up the letters, right? I think that could be like Marlowe's invention, or maybe part of like the superstition surrounding ceremonial magic back then. But like it fascinates me that like God is in there at all, you know.
That's interesting. So I read it that he's trying to do the protective thing that you're talking about, but he doesn't believe in it. So it's like he's going through the motions and like, well, you know, and then you thank God or whatever. But, you know, I don't think that he really believes in God, which is his problem.
Oh, okay, yeah, and there's some credence to that a little bit later with the okay, all right, yeah, that might be part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so he does then he starts to incantate. He does. I'm just looking at like the Latin that that's in capital letters that I recognize. So he says Jehovah, Jehovoe, which is Jehovah, right?
Right.
But later he says per Jehovum, which is different, and then Gehennum.
Gehennum, right? We know Gehennum, right?
I know Gehennum. Yeah. So yeah, he seems to be talking more about demons than God, and maybe it's just, you know, giving lip service to the God part.
There's, and I think this part is also Marlowe's invention, where it's because if you translate it fully, there's like, you know, glory be to God and the Holy Trinity, hail Beelzebub. So it's like, okay, like I think he's taking like some of like the authentic like prayer to God, and he's like, I say, oh, but this is a guy summoning a demon, so he puts in the hail Beelzebub and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. In any case, right, this extra little bit of authenticity was enough to send audience members over the edge. They were actually scared of this part of the show. And there were people who were like, don't go to this play. He uses an actual ritual in the play. And there's actually an account in 1608 of the play stopping and people fleeing in terror because of something on stage. But that doesn't happen until Act 2, so we're going to get back to that.
Well, so they sat through this and like, oh, honey, don't worry about that. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then
That's
coming.
That's the first part where people were just going to get in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference between an actor pretending to say these words and really saying them?
Right? As we know from the literary classic Hocus Pocus. Yeah, so I actually, my first stage play that I did in L.A. was Bell, Book, and Candle.
I saw you in Bell, Book, and Candle.
Yeah. Right? And I played, Bell, Book, and Candle was like the inspiration for Bewitched.
That makes sense, because it's got these crazy uncle and aunt and stuff like that who drop in, right? You're the crazy uncle.
I was Uncle Arthur.
Right.
But he wasn't Uncle Arthur in the play.
Right.
But I was Paul Lynde's character.
Right.
Yeah. But in the play, he actually performs a spell, and I checked, and it is a spell. Yeah. So I am also cursed. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did a spell twice a day for 3 weeks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Twice on Sundays. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
Was it a good spell or a bad spell?
Well, you know, it wasn't a bad spell. Yeah. Any case, okay, yeah. So, so scaring people like in Marlowe's time, right? So like you're saying, Keenan, like he's chanting in Latin. He invokes the powers of heaven and hell, calling upon the devils of Gehenna, the Holy Trinity, the spirits of fire, air, water, earth, heart, Captain Planet. No, the 4 elements, right? Beelzebub, right? This is the first time we've heard that iteration, and Demogorgon.
Right.
All right.
Well, the people at home know Demogorgon best from Stranger Things as the bad guy.
Right.
Yes.
But
then the real nerds know him from the D&D,
right,
and then the real nerds know that he's a 16th century demon.
Right. Yeah. Back when D&D was just you and your friend inhaling the fumes from the from the smithery.
I am reading here that potentially Demogorgon or Demigorgon was a scribe misprinting demon.
Oh, really?
Like why? Why is there a demon whose most of his name is demon? Right.
This is. Oh my gosh. Now I can't unsee it.
It's Demon Gorgon. Yes. This Wikipedia article blames a scholar by name, Lactantius Placidus.
With a name like that.
So a copyist was misreading Lactantius Placidus's book, and they would have to write everything by hand, right?
Right.
They couldn't copy paste; they had to do everything. And then misprinted demon, presumably demon and Gorgon.
Right, Demogorgon. Wow, and that's where Demogorgon, just a flub. I love that. It's the first like butt text. Now just the shape of this word looks funny.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just see, and I summon the all-powerful Demogorgon. Sorry, I dropped my phone. Demogorgon. Wow. See, Beelzebub, Lord of the Poop, Demogorgon. The origins of these really cool metal names, are so silly sometimes. I love it. But yeah. And then, so then he commands Mephistopheles to appear.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And from then on, we call him Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles. Yeah, so this is the first Mephistopheles? No, it was in the German tale there was a Mephistopheles, right?
Yes. But why? What is the name is already Greek. What is and now I'm chanting in Latin and I say Mephistopheles. And there's never we never get an explanation of that, is what I mean. It's
right.
now that I'm here and I'm singular, I'm Mephistopheles. You can call me Mephistopheles because it's a name, it's not a title. What is why? Just say Mephistopheles.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But it is such an odd name that T.S. Eliot named a cat after him.
Yeah.
Mr. Mephistopheles.
Right. Yeah.
So I was more familiar with Mephistopheles, the demon, before I knew of Cats, the musical, and the book that it's based on, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats.
Right, yeah.
So I always thought Mr. Mephistopheles. I just read it as Mephistopheles.
Oh, so you kept on even just seeing it Mr. Mephistopheles.
I was well, that's clearly Mr. Mephistopheles. Oh, I can't even do it now. Now that I'm thinking about it too hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought it was Mephistopheles.
Yeah, interesting. Huh. But I mean, yeah, and again, there we go, folks. Cats. We brought that in.
Right, but
where else does that name come from? That is clearly from here. Yeah.
Yeah. In Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, T.S. Eliot calls him the original conjuring cat.
Yeah. But he's doing the conjuring, though, according to T.S. Eliot.
Yes.
He's not the conjured.
No, he's not conjured. He goes and disappears, and he steals spoons and things like that. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
And then you think he's on the roof, but he's in the kitchen at the same time, right?
Oh, so maybe he is more like Mephistopheles. Yeah, okay.
But no one conjures him, yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah. But he's not behaving... Well, no, he is behaving like Faust, actually.
Wait. Mr. Mephistopheles is behaving like Faust?
Mr. Mephistopheles is behaving more like Faust does in this play. Just being a prankster.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right.
Well... Mr. Mephistopheles is my father. You can call me Mephistopheles.
There we go. That's a typical. That's the teenager's addition to that name is meh.
Meh.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. But yeah. But that is the first instance we hear the name Mephistopheles.
Right.
For some reason, pronounced differently for the first and only time. Yeah. And there's no explanation as to why he's summoning this particular demon.
Right.
Right? There wasn't a scene, even in the B text, where he's like, okay, who shall I? Belial, no. Mammon, no.
Right.
I got it. Mephistopheles, because he's symbolically linked with me somehow, right? No, there's nothing, right?
Well, don't worry. Beelzebub and Leviathan are just randomly linked to things that have nothing to do with them, so don't worry about it.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes they're gluttony, sometimes they're envy.
Yeah, right. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, yeah. But actually, that gives credence to the idea that everybody already knew this story. Like, everybody knows Rumpelstiltskin's name, even though, like, that's the whole point of the story.
That's
right?
the solution to the mystery of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So him, like, not needing to say why he chose Mephistopheles gives it kind of this historicity that, like, everyone was already linking Faust and Mephistopheles together.
Right.
So it's like, of course he's going to summon Mephistopheles. Who's he going to summon?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Mr. Mephistopheles? No. But yeah, so Mephistopheles appears, and apparently he is too scary for Faustus. And Faustus begs him to depart and come back in another form. And you know Mephistopheles did that on purpose. He knows the dress code. He's done this before. If he really wanted to come into work today, he would have been ready, right?
Right.
Folks, this is called quiet quitting. Actually, no, this started out as a joke, but as I go through this, I cannot help but see a devil who is, ironically, burnt out. I misremembered this. I thought he came in wheeling and dealing. I thought we were going to get, like, Beetlejuice's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, right, who's just, like, itching to make a deal and be set loose on the world. But this guy was just about to clock out when Faustus strolls into the dealership. It is 4:58 p.m. Mephistopheles looks around. There's nobody else on the sales floor, right? They've already, gone to the holiday party, which is being held at, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi Karaoke Bar, right?
Right.
Which he wasn't even gonna go to, right? He just wanted to go home and sleep. But this fucking guy, all right? And the problem with Mephistopheles, like, if we're making this about him, this would be one of those, like, middle tier 80s movies they replay on Comedy Central during the day, right? Like, it's not great, but it's just filler. But his story is that he is too good, right? He hates his job and he's trying to get fired, but he just keeps failing upwards. And he doesn't understand that his I don't give a shit attitude is what keeps opening all these doors for him.
Right.
Right. So Faustus orders him to depart and return in the form of a Franciscan friar, right? Which he then winks to the audience and says, that holy shape becomes a devil best. So this is the Elizabethan period, right? Queen Elizabeth I restored Protestantism in England and established the Church of England as the official state religion. The majority of Marlowe's audience would have been Protestant, and they would have enjoyed this little jab at the church. Even the Catholics at the time were aware of the hypocrisy and the corruption going on in the Catholic Church, and they probably would have laughed as well. And so now Faustus has gotten a laugh from the audience, right? He's feeling good. He thinks this play is about him, and he starts soliloquizing again and about how he is the greatest conjurer that ever lived. He's a conjurer laureate. Look how he's able to boss this Mephistopheles around. Meanwhile, Mephistopheles has returned. No big display, he's just back. And he's like, what do you want? And my favorite versions of this play are the ones where Faustus actually gets afraid here. This whole act has been building up to this moment. Faustus has been cocky and confident, and now Mephistopheles is here. And even in his disguise, right, even, not looking like he did when he first appeared, like all scary, I like it when he's still a little too much for Faustus. And the actor playing Faustus says, quietly and timidly, I charge thee wait upon me whilst I live, to do whatever Faustus shall command, be it to make the moon drop from her sphere or the ocean to overwhelm the world. And that's an acting choice. You can say that line with all the, the bluster and the cockiness, right? I charge thee to wait upon me while I, like all of that stuff, right? The ocean to overwhelm the world, right? But doing it the other way tells us so much about Faustus and how he's realizing he's bitten off more than he can chew. And it also tells us about Mephistopheles, that even in this disguise, Faustus is still a little scared of him. I like that, right? But again, to my point, right? Like, listen to what he said, like even if it be to drop the moon from her sphere or to have the ocean overwhelm the world, like you did for Valdez and Cornelius.
Well, that's where I'm not sure. I don't know if Valdez and Cornelius have sold their soul to the devil. I think there's some kind of middle ground they've taken that gives them just shitty magic.
But this is like the next night.
Because otherwise it's like, what would be so special about Faustus? If
right.
They've also done this.
Okay, but then there needs to be a scene, dear Marlowe. There needs to be a scene where like he tries. Cornelius and Valdez's stuff, and he's like, you know what? This is just as hokey as
right.
all my other stuff that I learned in my degree.
Right.
Now
I need to go. Yeah. Yes. I have had this inciting incident that shook me in my goals, and now I go and do something crazier and more extreme that backfires on me.
All right. He opens one of Cornelius's books, and like a little like pamphlet falls out. A chapbook, if you will. Falls out, and it's like, and it says like "do not open" or something like that, right? It's like even Cornelius wasn't gonna mess with this, right? But it's like, no, I'm gonna summon this Betelgeuse. What's this one? No, I'm gonna say, and then another little chapbook falls out, and it's Mephistopheles. Right? Yeah, he throws the Betelgeuse one away. Right? Yeah, but yeah, like, do you see what I mean though?
Yes, I see what you mean, but yeah, I don't think that they got the good stuff.
I guess not. Yeah,
I think the magic that they have like half sold their soul for just was mostly oregano and stems.
All right, there you go. That's see, you gotta inspect your devils, folks. You gotta like I have a doctorate in theology. Here is my diploma. Like, give me your credentials, right?
Right.
That is why Beetlejuice lists them all. See. Well, I attended Juilliard. I lived through the Black Plague, and I. But yeah, okay. So he said, to do whatever Faustus shall command, be it to make the moon drop from her sphere or the ocean to overwhelm the world, right? Mm-hmm. And so Mephistopheles says, I am a servant to great Lucifer, and may not follow thee without his leave. No more than he commands must we perform. Again, folks, it's like, sir, I can't make that decision. You'll have to speak to my manager, right? But Faustus has him on the line now. He's like, did he not charge thee to appear to me? Mm-hmm. Like, isn't this your job? And Mephistopheles is like, no, I came hither of mine own accord.
Right.
And Faustus is like, because of my conjuring speeches, right?
Right.
And Mephistopheles is like, not really. We get a buzz whenever someone, quote, racks the name of God.
Right.
You were just next in the queue.
Right.
So now, but no, that's really what he says. He says per accidens, right? He uses the Latin. He says he's basically saying that all the hocus pocus that Faustus just did is kind of meaningless. It's all you had to do really was blaspheme against God, and we hear that, and then we rush towards whoever does it to get their soul. Right.
So it's not because he's a great conjurer at all.
No.
Yeah. And so, this thing that he's doing, like, my reading half-assed protection spells with God or whatever, like none of that made any difference whatsoever.
Right. Yeah.
It's also interesting that our play gives it, this is the rules within the world, is that prayer doesn't get God to come down in the queue and set you up, but it does get devils.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the selling point of this magic, right? Is that like this is results, right?
Right. So maybe we don't have a special relationship like you and your God, but you got in the queue and you got a little buzz on my like Uber app for demons, like Beelzebub.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, Beelzebuber. That's it. I can't do anything else. Yeah. Yeah, Uber cheats.
Or just it's like Lucifer.
Yeah. Nice. Easiest thing. Belial thought that up. All you got to do is take the L off, boss.
Right. Right. So yes, it's impersonal, and you're not a special little boy, but we're here.
Yep.
We showed somebody up.
Yeah. God. What is it? God takes note when a sparrow falls, but
Right.
but when a sparrow calls, no, not. He's not answering.
Right. Now, of course, God does send 2 angels, but Faust doesn't count them. He doesn't.
Well,
care.
he sends 1 angel.
No, he sends 2 angels. He sends a good
there's,
angel
there's
and
a good angel and an evil angel.
An evil angel and a good angel. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you saying God sent the evil angel?
I think so. Otherwise, he'd be a demon at this point, right? We wouldn't call.
No,
an angel
they're working for either side. They're working against each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's at least 1 angel.
Yeah. Right.
But again, my point is like Faust doesn't finish the quote from Romans. He doesn't see what's good in front of him. So even though there's an angel, he's like, I don't count that. I only count this guy who shows up and knows my name, even if he doesn't care about me.
Yeah. And he doesn't even give full credit to Mephistopheles either, or Lucifer later on, which is that's
right.
the funniest thing to me. This whole thing. We're going to get to that, I think, in Act 2. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he's just like, nope, not because of your conjuring magic, just because you decided to go against God. That's why I'm here, right?
Right.
And Faustus is like, oh, okay, well, can you talk to your boss for me? Tell him I'm a big fan. I think he's really cool. Tell him he can have my soul, because I kind of don't believe in souls anyway. Well, don't tell him that. Anyway, tell me about him. What's he like? And on the other end of the phone, you just hear, and then this next little bit that I cannot read any other way but this, right? Mephistopheles is like, he's arch-regent and commander of all spirits. Was not that Lucifer an angel once? This is Faustus. Yes, Faustus, and most dearly loved of God. How comes it then that he is prince of devils? Oh, by aspiring pride and insolence, for which God threw him from the face of heaven. And what are you that live with Lucifer? Unhappy spirits that fell with Lucifer, conspired against our God with Lucifer, and are forever damned with Lucifer. Where are you damned? In hell. How comes it then that you are out of hell? And here's where Mephistopheles loses it. He's like, this is hell, nor am I out of it. Right? But no, he actually says, why this is hell, nor am I out of it. Thinkst thou that I, who saw the face of God and tasted the eternal joys of heaven, am not tormented with 10,000 hells in being deprived of everlasting bliss? O Faustus, leave these frivolous demands, which strike a terror to my fainting soul. All right, I really like that. Like, strikes terror to his fainting soul. He's telling Faustus not to do this. But that's how you keep closing these deals, Mephistopheles. When are you going to learn? You can't drive this car. It's too fast.
It's far too sexy.
It's too sexy. This makes my knees weak. You can't. Only the most alpha of alphas.
Right. You're going to shame everybody on your block. They're going to be envious. That's terrible for the neighborhood.
Yeah. No. Sorry, you
can't have this. I can't sell you this car. It's too exclusive.
Yeah.
There's no other models like it on the road.
Once you have it, then other people are going to want it. They're going to want you. There's going to be posters of you next to the car, and people are going to make those really dumb jokes. It was like, does he come with the car?
Yeah, that concept is so important, I think, for all of this, right? You have to understand the way that that this particular branch of Christianity considers the difference between heaven and hell. Heaven is a place that you go to where you're at the right hand of the Father, and hell is everywhere else, including the earth. The earth is not some middle ground between heaven and hell like I think most of us think in our just layman's term going around today. Like, earth is fine, but hell is someplace else.
This is fine. what that
this
means.
is fine, right?
But no, I think
Mhm.
Marlowe is shaking it up with this, though. I
You think so?
I think even the Elizabethans are like found Mephistopheles' line to be surprising. They're like, whoa, that's a concept. Like this.
Oh,
is
really?
Because why else would he say it?
There's other versions of this in other literature, though.
Mm.
So I hear you, but that's how we approach hell in The Pilgrim's Progress about the same time as this. Yeah, that hell is just not being with God, and that's everywhere.
Yeah.
It includes Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder like what the popular opinion is. Like the Elizabethans in the audience, like when the actor playing Mephistopheles says, "Why this is hell, nor am I out of it." Like, are they like, well, yeah, we already know that. That's part of our religion. Or are they like, ooh, that's interesting.
I see what you're saying, but but I believe that's still part of like pilgrim theology.
Okay.
Right? That like you're going out there, you're not going to go make heaven in North America, for instance. Like
Right.
like you're suffering through your whole life is suffering, right? There's nothing you can do, and like you're just training yourself for the next place, and
Right.
This is hell.
Yeah. But it might be, I mean, you would agree that perhaps it is maybe obscure enough for like even though it's an existing thing, like people saying that like hell isn't like a separate place, fire and brimstone. It's distance from God. You would still think like maybe the Catholics and the Protestants in the audience maybe forgot that.
Yeah, maybe.
By this time.
Yeah, perhaps. I think you might be right. Like the people who have the luxuries to go and pay for a ticket in London to watch a play, maybe you're right, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to the pilgrims who would, if you're not from America, I'm meaning the American, what we call the pilgrims that founded New England, right? They came over.
Right.
But there's also pilgrims before this in Thomas Becket's time, and they would go to what's that place at the edge of England where the pilgrims go to? There's all those stories about them. Oh God, Keaton. The Canterbury Tales. Like going to have pilgrimages was this difficult thing. Even like today, you just drive, 40 minutes or whatever from London to Canterbury, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But to go on these pilgrimages and the people who were doing what the pilgrims would consider like real Christian work were putting them in a place to suffer in order to prove their faith. Right. That probably wasn't the type of person who would need that reminder by going to plays.
No.
So yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah. I just see it as like the line is delivered like he's laying down a new concept. He's like, well, actually, hell is the name of the doctor.
And Faustus is like, well, I know that, but it was useful for you to remind me of that right now.
Yes. I am a doctor of theology.
Right. Yes,
I am aware of these things.
I am a doctor of Faustus of theology.
Yes.
I am a life and a tragedy of death, or whatever we said at the beginning.
My doctorate is so prestigious that they added a little us to my name and changed my first name to John, even though I graduated from Wittenberg. Wittenberg, you go Krampus's. That's their sports team.
That's right. Yeah, they're up against Hamburg U the next week. Go Gretels.
Yeah. The Krampuses and the Gretels. It's just age-old rivalry. So Faustus has made up his mind. He tells Mephistopheles to go tell Lucifer that he, Faustus, wants him, Mephistopheles, to be his servant for 24 years, after which he will hand over his soul. Again, folks, it was 4:58 p.m. Now he's got to go back. He's got to tell Lucifer.
A lot of paperwork there. So, Mephistopheles' last line, so Faustus says, go and tell your master, etc. And Mephistopheles says, I will, Faustus, which is the same thing that Wagner says in his one line in the first scene. He says, I will, sir, in that version.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, go get Valdez and Cornelius,
So
right?
already he's before the deal is even struck, he's talking like a servant.
Right. But that's an interesting question because, this Mephistopheles does not act like the Mephistopheles in our heads.
Right.
The wheeler, the dealer, he's not giving him the high pressure.
Yeah. Even covers of this book,
right?
will have like a painting of a smiling, kind of like rubbing his hands together Mephistopheles, right?
Right.
They'll put that picture on, this play, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think... I'm wondering how to play Mephistopheles. If I'm Mephistopheles, do I just play it that this is all part of the plan, this soft sell? Or that's I think that's how my inclination would be, but I don't know if that's really backed up by the text.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, "Oh, I'm playing low status because that's how you get them." And then at the end, I go, "Whoa! You thought I was a bad salesman, but I was a good salesman." But I don't think that's really here.
No, I don't think and yeah, this was all like kind of just like I was just, I'm kind of like joking about it, folks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But no, in the text there is a part where Mephistopheles says alone to nobody, and again, so Shakespeare rules, even though it's Marlowe. It means it's true, but he says like, "Oh, I dearly want his soul," or something like that. So that's it right there. Like he wants to get Faustus's soul.
Okay.
According to Shakespeare rules. Again, it's Marlowe, but. Because he says it to us, right? Like, I dearly want his soul. He's not saying that to another devil. He's not saying that to Lucifer. He's not saying that to Faustus, like, I want your soul.
Right.
He's saying that to the audience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if he wants Faustus's soul, then him being hesitant at first, I don't know. Like, yeah, that is...
well, that aside is later, so maybe he learns to want his soul because of what happens between the acts.
Maybe
when the curtain closes and the lights go down.
Right. Maybe the soul is the friends we made along the way.
You do know the toll troll?
The toll troll, yeah, of course.
You do?
No, actually, I don't.
Why do you say you do the toll troll?
Because I'm hoping that you'll do what I do when I say, Keenan, you know about this, and then I explain it to the audience. And when you do that, I can just kind of like sit back and nod and be like, exactly. What is the toll troll?
From It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the toll troll.
Okay.
They're doing this
the toll
this
troll.
Music Stop it.
He had an appointment in Samara, I believe.
No, stop it. Stop it. You're making this so much longer than it needs to be by being agreeable. No, they're writing a musical about the day man and the night man.
Of course.
and Frank, who is Danny DeVito, is playing the toll troll.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so he's trying to steal the boy's soul. Right.
Okay.
But they're worried because Frank isn't enunciating his lines very well. So he says, "You gotta pay the toll troll if you want to get in the boy soul. Toll troll, boy soul." Boy soul.
I can guess.
Yes.
What's wrong with this? Yes.
Boy soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. That's it. That's. What's the word? What's the finish of that? What's the punchline?
That's the punchline.
No, I know that's the punchline, but yeah.
That he wants to get the boy's hole.
Right.
Yes.
But what's the resolution?
There aren't resolutions on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I see.
He doesn't learn his lesson or anything.
Gotcha.
No. He doesn't go to finishing school.
Right. But yeah, okay, so Mephistopheles leaves, and Faustus daydreams out loud about his new life with Mephistopheles.
When you say it that way.
See? It's okay in the play. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I was paraphrasing, but I'll just read the goddamn play, shall I?
Okay, all right. Mm-hmm.
If there were as many stars as if I had as many stars as if I had as many souls as there be stars. I would give them
as many boy souls.
Boy souls as there, yeah.
Be stars,
I would give them all to Mephistopheles. That sounds, I'm just saying.
All right,
he's not. Mephistopheles leaves, and he's not like, oh boy, I'm gonna be like the most powerful wizard, and I got this, I tricked this rube into
right.
Serving me for 24 years.
Right.
And I'm an atheist. That's the joke in Act 2.
Right.
No, he's like, talking about Mephistopheles.
Yeah,
he's not talking about the thing that Mephistopheles is providing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's talking about yes, I'll go and check with my manager and see if this car is sexy enough for you. And then the guy goes and he's like, boy, that salesman.
All right. Well, I have never read the play that way, but I will keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. And folks, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. Like this seems like a perfect place to talk about all the things that he's going to gain rather than, the character that's going to give it to him.
Uh-huh.
Not like give it to him. You know what I mean. Yeah. But yeah. Now, okay, again, folks, scene 4 is really, really short. It's more comic relief with Wagner. Remember, he's Faustus's servant. And here, he gets a servant of his own, right? He's kind of strutting around and playing at being a conjurer himself. So I guess he knows what his master is up to, and he's sort of like doing what a child would do when they like imitate a parent, right?
Right.
And he ends up finding his own lackey. This would be like if LeFou started strutting around like Gaston, right? And he found his own LeFou.
But only when Gaston wasn't around.
Exactly, right? Gaston
comes around, it's like, hi.
Yeah, right. And whatever abuse...
button his shirt up, because Gaston wears his shirt halfway undone all the
time. Exactly, right?
Right.
And whatever abuse that Gaston bestows upon LeFou, right? As soon as he leaves, LeFou does that to this new lackey.
Right. Yeah. Carry around a cistern with... No, that's not what it's called. Carry around a spittoon with all my spit in it.
Yeah.
LeFou.
And again, this if you watch this scene, it actually is really funny. You got to give credit to the actor playing Wagner and also this new character who doesn't have a name in the A text, but in the B text, his name is Robin. He's just this peasant in rags. But it's like, and Robin gets more of a part in the B text. Like we see more of him a little bit later. Yeah.
Oh, in the text that I'm reading, it says enter Wagner and clown.
Right.
Because then later on, Robin shows up really late, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. So in the B text, they've decided that Robin and the clown are the same.
Well, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And when we say clown, folks, this was like a stock character in these types of plays. Like he's not dressed as like a circus clown that we would think of today. He is like that is his job in the play. He is the funny character that we laugh at, usually at their expense.
Right. Like we need a clown in this part.
Yeah, which is
hire your company's clown. That's what we need.
Exactly, right. And it's like the actor always plays the clown. Right? And it's interesting because you would think, I wonder if Marlowe was surprising people with this also, like because we have Wagner in what you would imagine to be the clown role, and then upstroll these two scholars at in scene 2. And we're thinking, okay, here's some funny stuff with Wagner and the scholars, and he puts them in their place, and we're like, oh, well, I guess he's not the clown.
Right.
Well, if he's not the clown, then who's the clown? And then we meet Robin, or the clown in the A text. Yeah.
And then so Wagner recruits his own LeFou, who is Robin, and then later Robin is going to recruit his own Robin, who is Rafe.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot more sense now. Then so that they might have fixed that from Marlowe, who didn't, because again, Marlowe was writing for a particular production, and then we don't necessarily know what happened in that production until some other people write down versions of this for their own productions later on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So yeah. I keep on wanting to say LeFou. Wagner begets Robin, and Robin begets Rafe.
Right.
Not begets, but Right. Okay. So Wagner has just found this clown, and he says, "You're going to be my servant now, right? Because I'm little Faustus, right?" And at first, the clown doesn't want to go with him,
right?
And then Wagner threatens him with magic. He summons 2 demons, and part of the comedy of this is that the clown keeps on getting the demons' names wrong.
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think it's Banior and Belcher. I kept on hearing Belial, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Belial. You know,
It is Belial.
wait.
Yeah.
In the text, it says Belial?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or wait, because I read that too. Is it Balial?
What's the difference?
Well, I guess there is no. Yeah, I guess it's.
Oh,
I was
know.
thinking it's like, okay, I like Marlowe made up these demons, but I guess one of them is authentic.
Hold on.
It's not the one named Belcher.
Baliol.
Yeah, that doesn't.
You're not going to say that's Belial?
Well, yeah, okay, you know.
No, I think it is Belial.
Yeah, it must be.
And then one who's made up.
One who's made up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But yeah, that doesn't like why is one made up and why not?
Right.
The other one.
And the Belial is spelled really weird. No. Or I mean,
but I bet a bunch of this stuff was all sorts of misspelled, and they cleaned it up for PDFs for
Shakespeare's
for
name
art.
was spelled like 7 different times. Yeah.
right,
7 different ways. Okay.
If you believe he existed.
Bum, bum, bum. Gonna blow your mind right now, guys. Yeah. Okay. You know what I would have liked, though?
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked Faustus to mention these two demons.
Yeah.
And then Wagner to get their names wrong. I think that would have been funny.
And then the clown gets them even more wrong.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yes.
But still, the demons, because that's the whole thing, folks, is that in this scene, the demons still show up.
Mm-hmm.
And they torment this poor clown, and he's like, no, okay, I'll serve you, right? Just leave Banior and Belcius, and let him go away.
Right, cousin Balky.
Yeah, right. And there's one there's a weird line where he's like there was a he devil and a she devil, and I'll tell you how you can know him. The he devil always has horns, and the she devil always has a cloven, and then he gets cut off.
Right.
Yeah, right. And the Elizabethans were like slapping their knees and throwing oranges at the row in front of them.
Yes, it's very bawdy. I mean, so Wagner is like, I could turn you into a dog, a cat, a mouse, a rat, whatever.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the clown says, I would prefer to be a flea because I can get into the wench's plackets. And I didn't want to look up what a placket was.
Well,
but,
you know what? We've put it out there. What is a I feel like I don't want to know this.
Yeah, don't image search
This
right away.
is forbidden knowledge, folks. This is a placket. Oh, it's what I thought. Yeah, it's a piece of clothing, right? It's like it is a finished opening in the upper part of trousers or skirts. So it's like the opening of a skirt.
We might call that a boy's hole.
Sure.
Today.
Or a boy's soul.
Boy's hole, right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and then they're going to make that joke again later. Like
Yeah.
there's going to be another. So
So
again,
he wants to be a flea, so he can like live inside women's skirt openings,
right?
because fleas just lived inside women's skirt openings back then, and it was just like a normal thing. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and not like he's saying it like it's a sexy thing.
Right. That's
He's like I would be a flea and I would just live inside the women's plackets.
right.
But
Yeah, another character later is going to say the same thing. So that might be an indication that maybe
Marlowe liked plackets.
Marlowe liked plackets or fleas,
Uh-huh.
but maybe the Wagner scenes when he's by himself were not meant to be. They weren't seen as being the same, or they were cuttable.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
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 Because I think most people who stage this play today would cut the Wagner stuff out.
I mean, I've seen productions where like
Yeah, I
you
understand.
need the funny stuff.
No, you don't. We're here to see a guy get dragged into hell. I don't need
Yeah.
comic relief.
And,
but,
Keenan, what is more hilarious
right.
to the German people?
That's the trouble. Is it's just a joke on top of a joke?
So you're saying
It's too many jokes.
you're saying this stuff with Wagner makes it too funny.
It's too funny.
It's too much. You need to somber it up a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
I see. Okay. Now, we can't have a comedy upon comedy. It's just too much, right? Yeah. So he dismisses the demons, and again in all the productions that I see, he kind of like he puffs his chest out. This is Wagner, and he walks over to the clown. He's like, "From now on, you're going to call me Master Wagner," right? And he just walks away like he's pretending to be, Faustus.
Right.
Yeah. And then then off they go.
A lower class person acting like an upper class person.
Ah! But he's not.
But he's not, and he never will be, because of his parents were.
Right, it's the blood. Right? And then so I forgot to say, and then in the B text, right? After, so he's like, now you're going to call me, so from now on, call me Master Wagner, right? And he walks off, right? And the clown is just like alone on stage, and he turns to the audience, and it's silent, and he says, "Damn near killed her."
Great.
Yeah. But yeah, that is the end of our episode. This is where Act 1 ends in the A text. We're still going to cover all the scenes from the B text, but that scene is coming up. It's scene 5 in the B text is scene 1 in Act 2 in the A text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're still going to cover it. It's just going to be next week when we cover Act 2.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, for now, that is all of my notes. Keenan, what did you think of our first act of The Tragical History of the Life and Death of Dr. Faustus?
No,
by
I love it.
Christopher Marlowe.
Yeah, all the stuff I've forgotten since college is the stuff that's really interesting to me, the comedy and the, but it's super cool going back to this after reading it, when I was, I guess 20 years ago now. And then with all the knowledge you've taught me about demonology and all that. So this is super fun.
Yeah. All right. I'm happy. I'm really excited for Act 2. Act 2 is where shit hits the... Well, there's just shit everywhere. It's the Elizabethan... It's already on the fan.
It hits the fan, but the fan is some teenage boy who just has a piece of cardstock and he has to just fan you with it.
Right. And if you know anything about English slang, fan is actually really a dirty word.
Oh, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. It's covered by plackets though.
Right. A fanny packer is how they might hear that.
Right.
Yeah. You're a fanny packer.
Right. Or a chapbook, if you will. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, that's all for this week, folks. I have been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I've been Keenan Diaz. You can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, we got our listener group, Banana for Scale. That's a community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group. Just request to join, and we'll let you in. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join and look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early. Pretty cool. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. Okay, folks, that's it for this week. Until next time, love and hisses. Mwah!